YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for Kamen Rider Gavv, Episode 6. First of all, I probably look different. It's because I'm Dawson's twin brother, Possum. No, my other glasses broke and I had to wear my backup ones that I usually just wear around here because they make me look like I want to be the Riddler from Batman. But I don't want to not put on glasses because I somehow look worse without them. And I also need to be able to see. So anyway, for those of you that are new, like, why is this guy explaining his glasses so much? Don't worry, I have a permit. Anyway, let's get started. This was the debut of Kamen Rider Valen, and it was one of my favorite episodes. I really liked it a lot. There was a lot of things I liked about it. That was really redundant, but yeah, I liked it. I just said a third thing that was the same. I had some concerns last week about, which were kind of unfounded. I think I had a bad call there. Some concerns about his build-up as a character. Like, he was built up well as a character, but I said last week, like, maybe it wasn't built up as well, like why he'd want to be a writer, but I didn't even think about the fact that his mentor got killed, and I think this episode just kind of put everything into perspective, that like everything we've learned about him kind of culminates here. I think it's just because Gavv, you know, we were so directly following his motivations as a writer that I was thinking I wanted it to be more direct for Hanto, but that wouldn't have made sense, so I kind of had a bad call there, because this one kind of brought everything to the forefront, and I like that he's not solely motivated by what happened to his mother. I've talked about this a couple times over the course of the series so far, but I'm really glad that they didn't go for that cliche, you know, my mother was killed, or my father, my brother, my third cousin's aunt, or whatever, and then they fly off the handle at the writer because they're like quasi-associated with the villains. And I like that he's been more smart about it, but I like that also he's more balanced and the motivations are more complex because now he's had someone else taken from him, because we see that the guy was turned into like one of the little food figure thingies, but then it got cut because they tried to break it, and they established that last week when Gavv saved those people. Like, if you break it, they're dead. If you break it, you buy it. And death. Anyway, I hope they don't bring him back. Like, he's carrying it around as like a motivational tool, kind of morbid, but that does leave the option for him to come back, and it's not like I want him to stay dead. It's just like, you know, the consequences aren't there if he comes back, and I think over the more modern era, they have the tendency to bring characters back, and it often shocks me when they do keep a character dead. Like, I'm still surprised they didn't bring back, oh my god, I already forgot the little kid's name on Gotchard, but I'm surprised they didn't bring them back, probably in a V-Cinema movie. Did the little kid die? Yeah, but the little kid sacrificed herself, the other one. Oh my god, I forgot all their names, I don't even care. Regardless, I'm surprised they didn't come back yet. So I hope they don't bring him back. It kind of reminded me, in a way, very different, but like that shocking aspect when you found out that Gaim's first kill, that makes him sound like a slasher, but his first kill was his friend that got transformed, and I'm glad they never reversed that, so I hope they don't do that here, but I thought that was well done, the build up to his motivation and this being the final straw. And also, I really like the way that you have him connecting with this weird experiment guy who I'm really curious what his motivations are going to be in the long run. Obviously, he's kind of shady. I'll be curious how that pays off, like whether he'll be a villain in his own right. Is he somehow hashtag cahoots in with the villains? I don't know, but he's certainly shady. But they set him up to become a writer in this cool way where he's created the system by observing the Gavv stuff, like the Gavv system, but also he discovered, like, in order to use it, you have to graft some granite DNA onto yourself. That sounded, but you know what I mean. That was a really cool detail. It reminded me of like old school early Heisei Rider, especially Phai's, I believe, was one where you had to either be an Orphanok or have Orphanok blood in you. Which is kind of funny when I think about it, considering how passed around the Phai's driver was. Regardless, though, I really like that. Like, in addition to a lot of other things, it just made it feel very Rider to me, and also very risky for him wanting to do that. And like, leading into that, then when you get his fight, I felt like he was really struggling in the fight, which was kind of cool, because it seemed like he was still tired from the surgery. I don't know if part of it was that he's just not quite as skilled as Gavv yet. I think it was mainly just tired from the surgery, but it made the fight feel like an uphill battle, which was just kind of cool. And it was a really strong debut fight for it. I really like the suit a lot. I think it looks good. I love the little detail of him like ripping off the tin foil. Like, you know, when you get chocolate, you usually rip off the foil. I thought that was really cool. I like the voice for the henshin device. You know, the Gavv. I just combined Gam and Gavv. Strike that, reverse it, and then reverse it again to make it make sense. The Gavv voice has grown on me. I think it's very fitting. It's not like my favorite, but it's grown on me. But I like that this one's different and a little more cool sounding. So yeah, overall, really strong debut fight. I think they did a good job of selling his motivations. And coming back to his mentor, I think they did a pretty good job of selling me really believing in his motivation and his emotional connection to his mentor. You know, I hate to keep taking potshots at Gotchard. I mean, I don't hate it, but it just seems like I'm wanting to still complain about it. But I can't help but compare the experiences of so many moments in Gotchard where clearly they were checking the box of like, this is an emotional Toku moment that you're supposed to understand why that character is motivated or achieving this next level or whatever, and it always rang hollow. I feel like they were just checking a box, and this felt like they did a good job, both in terms of showing a couple more flashbacks in this episode, but the time we spent so far also did a good job of selling that bond enough and getting to see their dynamic where it was believable, and I think Hanto's actor's performance sold that well as well. Just some other small little details that happened in the episode that wasn't focused on Hanto. We did have Shoma meeting with his great uncle again to thank him and kind of setting him up, I'm going to presume, to create more gear in the future. Like, we'll probably get, I mean, maybe not, but there's at least a decent chance we'll get a power-up in the future that'll be like welled up by the power of friendship and Toku nonsense, but I get a feeling that they're setting that up for future upgrades or weapons or whatever to happen through this guy and have him as sort of an ally. I didn't intend for that to rhyme. I'm a poet and I didn't even know I rhymed those words. But yeah, I kind of like that. And also you had him kind of mobilizing the Gachizo, which I keep calling Gachinizo for some reason, but the Gachizo. And Sachiko briefly sees him, but then he's like, oh, they're just toys, which is kind of meta in a way. She doesn't know yet. I'll be curious how long before she finds out. It had been so long since he had been with her, I almost forgot that she didn't know. And by that I mean I did forget that she didn't know until she reacted to them as toys. But he kind of mobilizes them to kind of be his eyes and ears out there, which they do because they spy on a magician guy. Again, I didn't know I rhymed those words. I thought it was weird that when he tackled him, and it was very clear that he stopped that person from being assaulted by the tongue, and then the boyfriend or whatever guy was like outraged at Gavv. I thought that guy was stuck on stupid. But anyway, something I wanted to say, and again, I'm not trying to purposefully take shots at Gotchard, and I only have one more after this, but I really do find the Gachizo so much more endearing than the Kemis. I don't think they're necessarily as stand out individually yet. Like, I can still remember individual Kemi designs more because, you know, there's not like personalities to each of them. I do remember their individual designs a lot, but they don't stand out in that way. But I think that they are integrated and are more endearing in the show, and it's not in your face because like Shoma's motivation isn't like Gachizo, you know. I just think they're a little bit more unique, and thus far, in my opinion, have been more successful than the Kemis. But man, I really like this episode. Broken record here. I'm just so happy to be enjoying Kamen Rider. Like, I have that, like, we are so back saying stuck in my head because during Gotchard I was questioning whether it was just me, that I had just fallen out of Toku completely, despite the fact that just the previous year I had enjoyed Geats. Like, I got a lot of people in my Gotchard reviews saying, maybe you just don't like Toku, you should stop watching. But I'm like, it was literally like technically less than a year ago I was vibing with Geats. I enjoyed my Revice rewatch, but still, during Gotchard, as I slowly just stopped enjoying it more each week, I really started to question maybe it is just me. But these 6 weeks of Gavv have proven, that, man, I can still enjoy Rider. I was legit looking forward to this week's episode, and I just love how well the world works. Like, him transforming with this chocolate stuff is absolutely silly and ridiculous, and it's almost like a parody and a little bit of a weird stylization, and yet it works with the weird world and mythology they've set up. So yeah, strong debut for Valen. What did you think of his debut? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.